Hey everyone, this is David Caldwell with Hillshire Realty Group. I'm here with Krista Britton, who's a principal broker on our team. And today we're going to be recapping the housing market for the Portland metro area for the month of October 2021 and talking about what we're experiencing today with clients that are both out in the market selling and working with buyers. So let's get into it. And we're going to start in everyone's favorite place, which is what is going on with the average sales price. So when we look at what's happened this year, we've seen the average sales price increase by 16.7%. Last year, this time, the average sales price was $489,000. Today, it's at $470,000, which is wild. I mean, how have your clients reacted to this growth in sales price, Krista?
Well, it's interesting because there was a lot of people that have been waiting. And everyone that keeps saying they want to wait because they keep thinking the market's going to go down over and over again, keep going, oops, I guess I should have bought last year. Oops, I should have bought last year. And I know I'm going to have the same thing next year.
Yeah.
I mean, this year's going to seem less, right? Because we're still seeing that upward trend.
You know, waiting, unfortunately, doesn't work. Waiting for the market to fall. And we talk about this all the time. You know, since 1992, there's only been 4 years where the average sales price fell, and that all had to do with the Great Recession, and which had to do with bad loans. And the worst loans in the marketplace today, they're really like FHA and VA loans, which are great mortgages. So, you know, we get people that call us and they want to know, like, hey, where can I find bank-owned properties? Where can I find REOs? And I worked on this with one of the agents on our team the other day. You know, she's like, hey, where could I find bank-owned properties? And we looked in the last 12 months in Tigard, Sherwood, Walton, Wilsonville, huge area, Southwest Portland suburbs. There have been 24 bank-owned properties that have sold so far this year.
A lot of people have even said, I want to wait until I see all these foreclosures that are going to be coming. I'm like, what do you mean?
So, yeah. So
why do you think there's foreclosures coming? This is
how many homes would you guess have sold in that time period?
That are foreclosures?
No, that are non-foreclosures.
That are non-foreclosures?
In those areas, in those four areas.
Oh my gosh, in the last year?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I get like 1,000. Like
it's over 4,000.
Yeah, like it's
over. So 24 out of like 4,000. So yeah, I mean, so hey, if you're a home seller, right? Every home seller is excited about what's going on until they think about entering the market as a buyer. And we're going to talk about new listings and what's really happening there, because people have this fear they're not going to be able to find anything. We've talked about this too, that all of our clients have been able to find something. But it is really spectacular growth. And at the rate of appreciation we have right now, since 1992, we're either going to see 2021 either be the highest rate of appreciation in a single year or the second highest. And my guess is that that rate of appreciation is going to slow down, and we're going to see it be the number 2 year, but it definitely can end up being the number 1 year. So, hey, if you're watching this and you have any questions about the average sales price of a certain area, like we talked about Tigard, Sherwood, Wilsonville, maybe it's like Oswego, maybe it's North Portland. If there's an area or a zip code where you're curious what the average sales price is, in the comments, why don't you just ask that question and we'll make sure that we answer it with the data based on whenever you ask the question. So new listings. This is a fun one, right? Because all year, the conversation has been, there's no homes to buy. There's no new listings. People aren't listing their homes. Now, when you look at how many homes are available on any given day, yeah, there might not be as many because the best homes sell fast and homes have been selling fast in general this year. And when we look at this graphic here that we've been making for new listings, this is year to date through October, things look pretty normal, right?
Yeah. I mean, the numbers are not that far different.
No. So if we read like the headlines, like the new listing headline, new listings decreased by 8.1%. But what's it mean if we don't have context, right? And our group, when we're representing people buying or selling real estate in Portland metro area, we know that context is important. And knowing the context doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna be able to convince a seller to accept your offer, whatever it is, right? But what it does help us do is helps guide our buyers and sellers on how to react in the marketplace. So if we're reading the headlines, new listings are down 8.1%. Oh my gosh, maybe this is scary. We're going back to the market that we were in the beginning of the year. But what we have to look at is we've really experienced a normal number of homes coming to the market this year. We have experienced abnormal demand, which we're going to get to. But new listings have been normal. So let's get to the demand. Let's look at that. So pending home sales. So pending home sales, we've really seen this consistency around the number of 3,000 homes a month. I mean, that's been really consistent this year. 32,000 homes have gone pending so far this year. We saw just like these marginal decreases, but this number has been pretty consistent for us this year. The question is, will this be the number next year?
Yeah.
That I don't know, right? Interest rates, we're going to talk about interest rates a little bit later. They've been a big driver. We could speculate, was some of this pent up demand from last year? Well, if we look, 2020 was a great year for pending sales as well. When we look through October, right? It's one of our best years. It's going to be interesting to see if in November and December, pending sales slow down, but based on listing activity that we've had right now, we're getting way more showings before we get an offer, but we're getting lots of showings on our listings, right?
Yes.
So it seems like there's lots of buyers that are in the market and people are wanting to still make those moves regardless of the seasonality.
Yeah, that is correct. If there's a good home that pops on the market, I mean, many people have missed out on homes. Some people are just now starting their search. People are still out there looking and ready to find the right one, essentially. Like there's still demand.
Yep. I agree. So let's go to closed sales. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. Closed sales are up, right? Of course they're up because pending sales are up. If you're a home seller, what you need to look at right now is that opportunity to actually sell your house has been higher. The window is closed a little bit on this hyper sellers market that we used to talk about. But when we look at closed sales through October, it's the number one year in 5 years by a pretty wide margin, by more than 10%. So, again, if we headline raise, well, closed sales declined, but that doesn't tell the whole story. That's why we like to go look at historic data. So again, like maybe you're a home seller and you're watching this and you're wondering what closed sales activity is like in your area. You can email us and we'd be happy to tell you that, or you could leave a comment and we'd be happy to respond with that information as well. But this is an important metric for home sellers because, a lot of times when we go in and we talk to someone about selling their house, we talk about how many homes have listed for sale and how many have actually closed. And everyone thinks that number is going to be 100%, and it never is. In this market, it's not, right?
Yeah.
So it just never is. So, what's your probability of selling? So it's a really important thing to look at. Mortgage rates. This one's new. I sprung this one on you, Krista. So I'll take this one.
All right.
So if we look at the month or the week ending November 18th, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, the average, according to Freddie Mac, people were getting basically 3.1%, which when we look at the last decade, that is incredible. That is an incredible rate. Rates have been low for a decade, right? Like they've been low for a decade. The projection is important, right? Mortgage rates are projected to go to 3.5%. Now, if you were borrowing $500,000, difference between 3.1% and 3.5% in your mortgage, it's honestly not that much. It's a couple $100, but a couple $100, that's significant, right? Over 30 years. It's significant when you think like, maybe I can put that money away in the stock market for retirement or vacations, things like that. So we talk about this all the time too. What we could probably assume with a lot of certainty is this time next year, rates will be more expensive and housing prices will certainly be more expensive. In with mortgage rates and outlook, we should talk about where conforming loan limits are going. So 625 in January is what we're being told. I don't know if that's like the official announcement, but that's what we're hearing.
We're actually hearing it could be higher than 625. So we have seen some lenders.
The floor we're hearing. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically 625 is on the lower end. It could be anywhere upwards of 650. I guess nationwide, we've seen growth at appreciation at 19%. There have been some mortgage brokers that have already gone in and upped their loan limits, their conforming loan limits by a 14% to give that like 15% buffer. So some people have already gone up to 625, full expecting that it's going to go above that.
Yeah. So that's important if you're a home buyer, because it means like the barrier to entry in these higher price points is becoming easier. And what we've seen in Portland is the average sales price has almost mimicked or been a couple percentage points or 5% above what the conforming loan limits are. So it's going to be interesting to see if, let's say, went to 625, that's like a $75,000 plus increase in conforming loan limit, which could mean $75,000 in additional appreciation, which is actually less than what we've seen so far this year. So that is a really important thing. If you have questions about this, we'd love to connect you with one of our lenders that we work with, that we trust. We have great people that we can connect you with. I'm going to put our contact information on the screen for a second. If you have any questions, you can email us, you can text us, you can hit us in the comments, wherever. Then I'm going to stop the screen share, and we're just going to do a quick summary of what this all means if you're a buyer or seller. All right, there's our info. So, let me get out of this so I can actually see you, Krista. Okay, so let's talk about buyers first.
All right.
What do buyers need to know about, like, hey, let's say I want to buy a house. Let's just focus on between now and the end of the year environment. Let's not even think about January, February, March, April, May. We'll do another video on that. But let's just focus on, like, if I want to be a buyer in the next 30 to, let's say 90 days, 30 to 90 days between now and June.
One of the things like that I think of right off the top is holidays, right? So a lot of people want to close within a certain amount of time and be able to move in a certain amount of time, but you have to remember that those holidays will delay your closings, right? Because let's say you make an offer, you want to close, and for easy example, the 25th of December, well, obviously no school day, no work day, you're not closing that day, you're not getting movers that day. And you'd be surprised on how many people fail to remember these things, such as what we have an inspection period. You get 10 business days. Well, a business day also doesn't include federal holidays, things like that. So that can really push out closings. And that's something to remember. Also, if you go to the seller and you're like, hey, we can close in 30 days. Well, can you really? So if you're thinking you want to move sooner rather than later, those are just some little things to kind of keep in the back of your mind, right? Is timeliness.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was messaging with a past client today who we sold their house last year. They temporarily went into like intermediate housing, and now they're thinking about going and buying again. And he, his timeline was more after the beginning of the year. And I was like, hey, one thing we need to talk about are these conforming loan limits going up and how those may benefit you or how they may not. Because right now, those properties, some lenders are already doing loans at those limits, new limits, but not all of them are, right? So it hasn't completely impacted the market yet from an appreciation standpoint. The likelihood of him getting a better value in November or December for his family, it's higher today than thinking about doing it in February or March. The odds are if he waits till February or March, the same houses are going to be worth more money. Now, I always go off this thing where it doesn't matter if it's a good deal. It matters if it's the right house. If it's not the right house, you don't buy it, right? But my advice to him was, we might as well start shopping now and see if we can find the right house, because if it's there, it's going to behoove you from a value standpoint versus just consciously waiting and knowing I'm going to pay more. And waiting doesn't necessarily mean the inventory is going to be better or worse. So the wintertime, historically, we do see these decreases in listings like we talked about, but there are still great houses on the market. So I think any buyer who is thinking about waiting but is ready now, you should just be looking now. Doesn't mean you have to buy now. Doesn't have to mean you have to buy in December, but maybe, maybe that right property is going to be available. So on the flip side, let's go to sellers, right? Because we both have listings right now that, some of them are flying off the shelves, some of them aren't, but they're all really getting shown. Yeah.
And so that's where I think a lot of people are worried about listing their homes, right? during the holidays. And, for one, you're going to have less competition, right? A lot of people still have that mindset. Oh, I want to wait. I want to put my house on the market in the summer when everybody else does, right? Because I think it's going to look better. Well, one, you're going to get a lot of looky-loos. And two, if you list, when there's not a lot of other homes on the market, you're only getting usually buyers that are serious too. So you're not getting a lot of time wasters. You're getting serious buyers in a serious market. So if now's the time that you need to sell your home, list it, especially right now where inventory, right? We have more buyers than we do homes.
Yeah. Julie on our team, my sister, she had a listing and it was a really particular floor plan. Mm-hmm. And it was this conversation about, do we sell now or do we wait till the summertime? Well, it's a large house. Maybe a family's more likely to buy that house during the summer. But 9 out of 10 showings, if you have a buyer who's going to go look at 10 houses in a day, that house is always probably going to be the most particular, maybe perceived as worst floor plan. It was just a strange floor plan. And when there's lots of options available during the summer, I do believe it would have been harder to sell that home than it was in the marketplace we're in today, because people did have less options and there are serious buyers in the market. But I do think that there's always this, hey, you can list in November, December if you want to sell because there are serious buyers in the market. But that's true, but maybe not always the right answer for you. So if you're watching this video and you're a home seller and you're going, does it behoove me to sell now or does it behoove me to wait? The answer isn't always the same. It's really based on your goals, your house, what's going on in the market, where you're going. I met with a seller last night who had their house on the market with another company, and where I wanted to start the conversation is, where are we going? Like, what are we going to buy after this? And what makes sense there? And we spent all this time talking about the purchase. Then we talked a little bit about the sale. Then we went back to the purchase because that's really what was most important. And it was funny because she goes, my other agent didn't even ask me about this. They just went to price the house and then we priced it. They wanted to reduce it. They wanted to reduce and wanted to reduce. What was funny was she was only on the market half the amount of time that the average days on market was for that particular type of property. It was a condo downtown. The agent asked for like 3 different price reductions in like a 30-day time period, but the average days on market for that property was 62 days. So, there aren't these like hard and fast answers that we can give, right? It's all based on like your goals and what's happening. So what sellers do need to know is this year's been an incredible year if you are a home seller, because we had great appreciation. We've had lots of terms that have favored sellers. And you have a high probability of selling your house because we've had more pending sales and more closed sales. These are going to be like top 5 years for pending and closed sales. And we don't know what 2022 holds for that, right? Like this year, the average list price to sales price ratio in a lot of the areas we work is like 102%, meaning a lot of sellers are getting 2% above their asking price. If you go back to 2019, where it was a normal marketplace, most sellers are getting like 97 to 98% of their asking price. So you have a higher probability to sell your house and you have a higher probability of selling it at a high price. Maybe that price is lower than you want, right? Some people want crazy pricing still. But we're in this incredible market for sellers. So Krista, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can give me a call. My cell phone is a great way to get a hold of me, 503-807-9279. I also have the same email as David, except for the name Krista instead of David. So Krista, Krista at Hillshire@realtygroup.com, or Krista at HillshireRealtyGroup.com. I always joke that we have the worst emails. I can't say them.
So yeah, and if you guys have questions, you can put them in the comments. If there's like something you would want us to cover in a future video, we'd love to know what that is, and we'll take our best crack at it. But if you have questions about your particular situation, there is an appointment we really love to do with people, which is basically it's a yearly home equity review. It doesn't matter if you want to sell today. It doesn't matter if you want to buy. It just is really about you, your real estate goals, similar to what you do with your financial advisor, where we talk about what's going on in the real estate market, what appreciation has looked like, let's say 2021, 2020, 2019, so you can kind of see what that arc looks like, and just kind of talk to you about all things that are your home and your goals. And we just love to be on your team when you decide to do something. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment, leave a like. I don't think you could dislike anymore. So that's awesome. If you think we suck, I guess you can leave a comment about it. So anyway, hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. So that's coming up, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys.